Hi, everybody. It's Tim Constantine from the Washington Times with, as always, my good friend Dave Bozell for America. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you. Beautiful days in Washington. You know, usually in August, it is hot and it's like fantasy land out there. A little breeze.
It's
Everything is
beautiful.
good in Washington. My theory is it's because Congress isn't here. There's no hot air.
And all my traffic is out of the way, except for all the construction. You know it's an election year in the DMV in Virginia when the construction starts to happen in robust form.
It's all good stuff. Hey, the Trump administration announced a few days ago that they were going to take over the law enforcement portion of the District of Columbia. The FBI and the feds were going to take charge of the police department because there are so many crimes. Crime is so high in Washington, D.C. In my mind, I think this is a no-brainer. There is a lot of violent crime in Washington, D.C. Statistically, there's at least 8 violent crimes a day. But the left, because they hate Donald Trump, has been arguing about this and saying, oh, this is more of that dictatorship. They're trying to take things over. Oddly enough, on night one, last night was the first night where this had actually been in effect. They had 100 arrests of wanted hardcore criminals in the District of Columbia. So it looks like, contrary to a dictatorship, it's actually law enforcement. But I wanted to get your views on it.
Listen, Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, has twice the murder rate of Bogota, Colombia. So let that sink in, okay? Twice the murder rate. The nation's capital, the United States, has twice the murder rate of Bogota, Colombia, the cocaine capital of the world. So it absolutely needed to be done. I'm old enough to remember during Trump 1.0, Tim, and a lot of this had to do with the fact that the Washington Nationals, a baseball team here, they were good. But man, I would go down there with my young children, no problem. Weekday nights, weekend nights, it didn't matter. I could walk up and down Independence Avenue to go to a nighttime Nationals game, no problem at all. Felt safe. Everybody was having fun. Fast forward 5 years, the team stinks. I would never dare to bring my older children down walking down Independence Avenue, New Jersey Avenue to go to the same baseball game. I wouldn't dare because you'd be looking over your shoulders. They've got motorcycle gangs just traversing all across up and down New Jersey Avenue near the Capitol. So it's been a look. Washington D.C. has been crime-ridden for 40 years. Its mayor, 4 times removed, was a crack cocaine addict himself. Right. Yeah, so this has been a problem in Washington D.C. for a good 40 to 50 years. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Now Trump has federal jurisdiction at least temporarily, and I'm sure the Congress will vote him an extension. But man, Tim, I'm almost willing to park my conservative bona fides at the door to go into places like Denver, to go into places like San Francisco, Oakland, and fix those places up too. These, especially Denver. I was just in Denver about a week and a half ago. That is the gateway to the Rockies. Awful place to be. Downtown Denver is just crime-ridden and disgusting. Your feet, you walk down the street, Tim, your feet get stuck to the dried urine. I mean, it's nasty. It's just disgusting.
I think the part that a lot of people are missing here is not just the arrest, because most of your local policemen would love to go be able to do their job and have the impact. But the enforcement of the law itself by the state attorney, or in this case, the district attorney, is not happening. The District of Columbia has one of those top cops, the prosecutor, who says, well, we don't want to, these are the 71% of the carjackings that happen in Washington, D.C. happen by underage kids. And so the prosecutor says, well, they're just kids. What can we do? And so the big part of the Fed taking over is now many of these arrests can be referred into the federal system. And with Jeanine Pirro now running the district as far as the federal prosecution, she's saying, oh no, we're going to go ahead and prosecute everybody. And what happens all over the country time and time again is those cities that choose not to prosecute people or not to have laws enforced have trouble. Those places that crack down, I remember in Florida, this is going back like 30 years. but it was, I won't get the statistic exact because it's been 30 years, but it was something like 6% of the people did 80 some odd percent of the crime. And so the math is easy. If you take those 6% off the streets, crime plummets. And it worked in the state of Florida. It worked. It will work in D.C. If they crack down on the actual offenders and said, I don't care if a kid's 17, if he put a gun to somebody's head and took their car, perhaps he does not need to be out on the street the next night. So you take those people off the street and crime plummets. It's not a hard formula.
Not a hard formula. The feds know who these guys are, right? And I actually suspect that D.C. will get cleaned up in pretty short order because of this. And you mentioned how 80% of the crime is conducted by 6% of the people. They know who the 6% are in Washington, D.C. And you need to clear the deck, too. The football team just made its deal for the stadium. And, that part of the city is not exactly where you would double up on a Mar-a-Lago per se.
Right.
And so
it's funny because you talked about the Washington Nationals and the baseball team. And I was just having a conversation with my Uber driver this morning. I said, if you go back into the 90s and you went 2 blocks south of the House office buildings, even in the middle of the day, you were taking your life in your hands. And then after all the redevelopment down there, Navy Yard became, the great address. Not so much right now. I mean, it's still a beautiful place, but there is crime all over. Just last year, there was a member of Congress got carjacked down there right on New Jersey Ave. So we're seeing it all the time. And, you saw a member of Congress carjacked. You saw Rand Paul's, one of his top staffers, stabbed. You saw, we can go through the list over and over of people probably that you and I know, but not just high-profile people. It is happening to Ma and Pa every single day in Washington, D.C. And the idea that anyone is arguing, I realize it's the same people that wanted to defund the police, but anybody is arguing against having stricter law enforcement in a town that has a huge crime problem makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, look, Nationals Park gets built up. That area was, nothing there really, other than there was a sewer plant down there off the Anacostia River. There wasn't much there. Nationals Park gets built up. That whole area gets built up. It's the place to be. It's a ton of fun. Then the criminals figure out that this is the place to rob, and they go down there. And now there's shootings outside the home plate gate, every other night, and especially in that trek between Nats Park and the DC United Stadium. The Wharf gets rebuilt. Same thing. Very swampy, up against the riverbank. A lot of lobbyist buildings get put in there. It's the place to be. And then the criminals figure out that's the place to rob. And that's not a safe place to be. I mean, underneath the Anthem, the new concert arena down there, you can't park in the garage without getting a contact high. I'm not a prude about this stuff, but there are guys down there in the car parking garage just getting high as a kite, and the cops won't do anything about it. So, I mean, it's just every time they try to build a place up, it just takes a couple years for the criminals to come in there and break it back down and break it down. The same thing's going to happen with the football team, too. I mean, they're going to try to build all that area up. They got to clear the deck, and you got to get the criminals out so they don't come in and ruin this investment for the city.
Final note on this, and that is, I hope the media covers, I mentioned the 100 arrests, but I suspect that will continue. And what we've heard every step of the way, because the media hates Donald Trump, when he announces something, they go into a tither speculating and being fearful of what could happen. And so at the border, it was going to be a horrible thing. It was going to be, and then all of a sudden there are 0 people being released into the United States, hardly a blip in the American mainstream media. When he instituted tariffs, oh my God, it's going to cause terrible inflation. And yet the last 3 months have come out, inflation has been below what they anticipated. And several items are the big items like gas and groceries continue to go down. So hardly a blip in the media. Here, when he announces, we're going to help take over and correct this crime problem in D.C. Oh, he's a dictator, again, based on fear, based on hating Donald Trump. So I hope when they do effectively crack crime, that there will be some reporting in the media, but I don't anticipate it.
I don't either. He's on a roll, and you would never know it. watching the mainstream media. He's on quite the roll. If there's a surplus in July, Donald Trump will have earned himself quite a bit of rope when it comes to economic policy. There was a surplus in June. If there's another surplus in July, he has gone quite the roll. And the media, you would think that they would acknowledge something, but they won't.
For America, he is Dave Bozell. I'm Tim Constantine. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon.